Think the president and Mitt Romney are the only two fighting over welfare these days? Well, think again, please. Massachusetts Republican Senator Scott Brown and his opponent, Elizabeth Warren, are now fighting over Massachusetts' decision to mail voter registration forms to anyone receiving public assistance. And if Town Hall's Guy Benson is right, the senator has good reason to be concerned. What's that reason, Guy?
Hey, Stuart. Well, there's a lot of reasons here, and the important thing to recognize right out of the gate is the backdrop of this. As you said, this is a very important election. The fate and the state of the U.S. Senate hangs in the balance, and a lot of people think that this race could determine who controls that body after November, and it's a very, very close race if you look at the polls between Brown and Elizabeth Warren. Now, here's what's happening. You have this liberal group that has been suing and agitating to make sure that welfare recipients in the state of Massachusetts are getting mailed at taxpayer expense voter registration forms. What Democrats will say, Stuart, is that they are simply proactively and robustly trying to enforce the 1993 federal motor voter law. But here's where it gets interesting. Scott Brown's pointing out, hang on, this isn't just any liberal group. This isn't just the enforcement of a federal law. This is a group that happens to employ the daughter of one Elizabeth Warren, who's running for Senate against him. And several of the people on the board of this group are major donors to the Warren campaign. Right. So I think the bottom line here, Stuart, is that the Democrats may be on terra firma when it comes to the law. But I think Scott Brown is right and shrewd politically to point out what a lot of taxpayers and voters might see as a big conflict of interest and an appearance of impropriety.
Let me recap exactly what's happened here. An activist group demands that voter registration forms go in the mail inside with a welfare check to 500,000 welfare recipients in the state of Massachusetts, and taxpayers in Massachusetts have to spend $275,000 to get that mailing out. All of this done at the urging of Democrats and people to the left of the political line and employing Elizabeth Warren's daughter. All of that is where we are now. What does Scott Brown have to say about this?
Well, he's saying this is outrageous. There's a conflict of interest. This is Elizabeth Warren's daughter and her organization. This smells bad. And I think he's right to object and to bring this case to taxpayers. The Democrats can explain and make the case all they want that, hey, we're just technically following the law here. But what Brown's going to say is, look, taxpayers, think of it this way. Why are Democrats expending so much time and your money making sure that people who are dependent on the government get these voter registration forms? Why aren't they focused on protecting taxpayers?
Here's the question, Guy. Is it happening elsewhere, in other states, a similar push to get those voter registration forms out with a welfare check?
Yes, and that's actually one of the defenses that we're hearing from this group. They're saying it's not just Massachusetts, it's not just Elizabeth Warren's daughter. We've been doing this in 18 states across the country since 2004. This is a push, and it makes sense. I mean, if I were a lefty or a liberal, I'd want the same thing. Get the natural base of the Democrat Party, people who are reliant on government, get them out to the polls. That's the goal here.
Town Hall's Guy Benson. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Getting a bounce from going negative or just getting bounced. The real story behind the latest presidential poll numbers.